get ready with me to go set my old art school drawings on fire. Now, why am I doing this? I have them all laid out here. So this is from like around 2017 to 2022, all these black and white drawings. I'm gonna have a little chat with you right now. And then I'll show the footage of it happening later. I went through a spiritual awakening last year after moving from Paris to London. And this was because I couldn't renew my artist visa and my French naturalization got denied, which thank goodness, because I realized I really want to live in the United States sometime in the future. And in that moment, though, it felt like the world was ending. I also had a relationship that fell apart and a lot of stuff going on that just pushed me to where I needed to be, but it was scary in the moment. And after my spiritual awakening, I healed a lot of the trauma that I had from my childhood, but also I truly believe a lot of these things you bring into life through your past lives, and they're just people and circumstances waiting to trigger them. So all of these paintings, now that I'm become spiritually attuned and it's growing day by day, I can really sense out the artist's soul imprint in each artwork that I meet. Whether it's looking back on things I've made in the past or going in a museum, I can sense the intent and the message that is there, even in songs, even in spaces designed by an architect or a company. I can sense the consciousness, what it was trying to convey. And a lot of what is here right now, the logical mind would tell you, this is ridiculous, burning all of your old stuff, does that mean you think it's not valuable, that it's trash or it's not important? No. I know that this is all extremely valuable, but there's something about understanding that art, it's not a product to be made that you're waiting to go and value someday. For some people it can be, if you're an art collector or investor or whatever, but that's not me, okay? I've realized that art is literally a healing process. When you create songs, music, artworks, even businesses, you're healing a part of yourself that needed something. And oftentimes in artworks, it's the closest we come to becoming God when we make a drawing, because we're creating this mirror of ourselves to see ourselves from our own eyes, which we physically cannot do. And now when I go out in the street, in the metro or in the tube stations, I can look at an advertisement and see energetically what message they're trying to convey. And I can do that with artworks now. Same with people. If you pay attention to people enough and don't just ignore them in your day-to-day life, you can read the invisible captions on these little marionette strings that are pulling them in different directions to do different things. I want to be more appreciated, I want more comfort and safety, I want more love, whatever. You can sense out once you become attuned, why people do certain things and what the whole intent of certain objects or events is. There's no hiding that from you the way it used to, And the deal with all of these drawings is that they're not unimportant, they're not trash. It's just that it was a huge part of my healing process. So some of the things that I was dealing with during these 5 years when I was at the National School of Fine Arts in Paris, I was the first student from my school, my high school, to enroll there. And honestly, I really know it was fate for me to go to Paris. At that time, I was dealing with so much disordered eating. I had bulimia and anorexia, but also I had weight issues. I had so many negative beliefs in my soul, And when I first moved to Paris, I even had so many issues and sexual trauma. I wasn't assaulted, but I did participate in relationships where it's just like, what? Where the foundation of that relationship was a belief like, I don't believe in love. But I would like to feel something. And I think a lot of rebellion, it's kind of like that. And in many past lives, I rebelled against my family. And in this life, everything was designed so that it would happen again, that I would want to leave, that part of me would want to leave and never come back even. And thankfully, I've integrated and learned that lesson, and I have a wonderful relationship with my parents. But for a long time, I had so much like feminine wounding, so many relational issues and negative belief systems that would project into real life, like all of this demonic stuff. And looking back with my higher vision and senses, I can sense there were like energy parasites, and you can even call them demonic entities that were feeding off of me. And I have to be honest, like, I'm extremely grateful to one boyfriend that I had at the time. I really do appreciate and love him so much. And it was for like 3 years. And he was, looking back now, I realized like that was fated. That was like our souls were meant to meet, because if I did not meet him, and if he weren't in my life as that healing presence and nurturing person that he was, I think I might not have lived. I think I would have died. Yeah. So looking back, like all of this, you have to understand art is that healing process that's kind of like a scarab beetle rolling that ball. It's also kind of like the spider weaving the web. And what's happening is you're making a soul imprint. And that in itself is extremely therapeutic. And what remains is like an ability to see who you are and what you were feeling in that moment, and to have a distance from that, and some sort of like closure almost. But the thing is, what remains, like art, I truly believe the best art, or the whole purpose of it existing, it's not to like win a competition, to get into a museum. Like it shouldn't be made with that intent, you know, or to necessarily validate or prove yourself. Though in the past that was very much the case, like in a more old-fashioned sense. But I realized like the best is when it's an offering to God and to humanity and to yourself. You can call it even your higher self. And I can see like in all of these works, first of all, you might notice it's all black and white. So it's all black and white because at that time I was going through something I like to call colorexia, which you can probably see that I've healed since I have like green hair now, and I'm gonna re-dye it soon. I want to do like a robin egg blue and then an emerald ombre. I think just colors are so wonderful. They make life so worth living, you know? Be grateful you get to see colors even. And the reason I had this so-called colorexia, this term I invented, was that back then, I only drew in black and white because I was so afraid of feeling things, because I knew at the same time I was feeling so much. So much, oh my God. A lot of pain, a lot of negativity and darkness just like lingering over me like this bad smell, you know? And that would attract different situations, suboptimal situations into my life. And one of the biggest like negative repeating thoughts in my head at that time when I was maybe 20 years old was like being scared of this belief that I am cheap trash and nobody wants me. And I think part of having an eating disorder is a form of slow suicide or invisible self-harm, because especially as women, you know, there's this taboo against like having visible forms of deformity. So like having an eating disorder is really much like an invisible way to slowly kill yourself. And I call this like demon that was living off of my life force back then, I call it entropy. Entropy in physics, I think it's all of the free energy or resources that are not currently in use or working. And entropy is also, I heard this interview in a Rick's Astral Club YouTube channel, that entropy is actually a demon and it feeds off people who have depression and all of that. And it was feasting off of me for sure. Like you can see here, a lot of these twisted figures, these tiny details I have, if you look close up, you can see like all of these these are from like pen drawings, you know? These are all lines from a tiny micron pen. And what was going on then was I actually had a skin picking issue. I had eczema. I had like chalazions, inflammations all over my eyes. And the spiritual meaning of that is not wanting to see the reality of things because they're unpleasant. You know, check out my last video if you wanted to learn more about that. There are spiritual causes to your symptoms. So like eczema on the back of my neck, on my spirit gate. If you see the movie The Matrix, they have the cable on the back of your neck, right? That's actually very much true, because your higher self and higher like guidance, divine guidance and energy, it comes to your physical body in the back of your neck. That's why it's called the spirit gate. And I had eczema all over there, eye inflammation, like psoriasis, all these skin inflammations over my scalp, over my body. And the energetic cause for that was all this negativity lingering. And I realized like all of that was condensed into these drawings. I was able to like take them out of my body and see them in front of me while I was drawing these images. And a lot of them are very contorted, very distorted. So there are bones, there are oceans, there's seaweed, there's trash. I made a lot of drawings of mermaids, but like deformed mutant mermaids that were twisted around in nets and wires and covered in pollution or trash. And that's very much how I felt, like a mermaid covered in trash and seaweed. Like all of these, when you're making art, unless if you're making something extremely commercial that isn't like 100% you inside of it, you can't hide yourself in the real piece of art. You are inevitably telling the rest of the world like what you're going through, how you're feeling, and what your soul's currently experiencing, and how you perceive all of that. So what I'm doing here, like, why am I no longer holding on to this? The vision that came to my mind is right now, it's March 31st, I think. Yeah. Neptune, tomorrow is the 1st of April. Neptune just moved into Aries, which is like a big fiery change for the world. The last time Neptune was in Aries, the US Civil War started, like on that day, I think like within 5 hours or something. Was it 5 hours or 5 days? Maybe 5 hours. And I had this vision that came to my mind. It started appearing just like a few years ago, that in order to become a different version of yourself, the old version of you has to die. And it's almost like I had this vision of myself in my sleep where my soul, part of my soul, or something that looked like a dark image or shadow, would come out of my body while I was sleeping and start like eating away at my body. And it was kind of creepy, but I was wondering, like, what does that mean? A lot of my dreams like have deep meaning. I suggest you pay attention to your dreams, what they're telling you. For me, I realized is that sometimes you have to offer up the old version of you as a sacrifice to bring in what is new, like a phoenix, really, very much so. So could I technically hold on to all of this? Yes, but I don't want to throw it away, put it in the like recycling bin, because energetically, why do we burn things? Have you noticed like these beautiful scenes in movies like Tarkovsky's Mirror, when buildings or houses get set on fire? You know, another example is at the end of this movie, What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I love that movie. It's with Leo DiCaprio and Johnny Depp when they were both very young. Johnny Depp's playing this young man, Gilbert, who's responsible, like the man of the house. He has an obese, overweight mother, loads of siblings, and this younger brother who has like special needs, like mentally a bit different, and is like always running around, and it's so like meddlesome to just like take care of him, played by Leo DiCaprio, which was an excellent performance, by the way. And at the very end of the scene, like, I won't spoil it for you, what happens, but basically there's this ending. There's a new beginning where they move away, they start a new life. And before that happens, the entire house where this family lived gets set on fire. And they're just like standing there watching the house fall down in flames. And the reason these sort of scenes in movies are so compelling, it's because fire is actually the single, well, all elements have different properties, right? But fire is the one physical element that really purifies and clears all negative energy that gets trapped in material objects. Have you noticed how like some objects, some rooms or spaces even, they have a creepy energy? Like if you go into a house where some very horrible crime happened, or you go to like an old prison or old battlefield, or you move into or you like visit a house that where a really unhealthy family used to live, like a family that was not happy used to live, you can sense that energy that's like trapped in the magnetism of that place, right? It's imprinted in that air, in that space, in those coordinates. Same with objects. When you go to a like vintage or secondhand shop, you can sense certain clothes. They belong, you can feel like they belong to a really special people, or conversely, they belong to someone who's like very negative. And it's almost like the clothes absorb their emotions. And even though you don't know the person, when you wear those clothes, you start to feel how the previous owners felt wearing the same items. So that's how objects actually absorb energies. And oftentimes, more often than not in this material world, objects absorb the darkness, the trauma, the negativity that human beings we collect, and then we like sort of emanate and spread out if we can't control it. So for me, what this ritual means to me, it's having all of this darkness that was once in me, like really purged once and for all. So the whole process, it's pretty sacred. It is magical. It's transformative. And it's a sort of payment as well, a down payment, a commitment to the kind of artist I wish to be. Like all of this, I do not regret. It was absolutely essential, and I'm grateful for every piece that I made, because it was necessary for me to create the best works I can ever. And I want to create things, and I intend to create art that radiates, that emits life force, because I've gone through all of this crap. I don't want to make anything that will... Actually, let me rephrase this. I want to create art that heals people. And all of this art here was for my own healing. Do you see that difference? So once I burn this, all of that negativity, it turns to ash. It releases that dark soul imprint that I used to have when I was a young person, like dealing with a lot of issues. You know, even like, if you look at the root of eating disorders, it's a slow suicide that symbolizes resentment towards your body for being the vessel through which it allows your existence to unfold. It's like asking your body, why do you even make this existence possible for me? I do not want to feel like this. So F you, I'm not gonna feed you. Yeah. And I'll insert a picture maybe. I'll think about it if I want to. But I might insert a picture of a painting that I made recently that really shows you the healed version of that. I think it's quite beautiful. It's a giant love letter. And this is like really an act of love. Setting all of this on fire is truly an act of love and devotion to myself as an artist. And have I thought like maybe I should store this away and then put it up for auction when I'm famous or whatever, and then like donate it to charity? Yeah, maybe. But I truly believe that this is a lot more significant to just let the fire, like let it go up in flames, clear all of that trauma and drama that these papers and this ink helped me go through. And for that, I'm really grateful. And there are some examples of this, you know. I did a research project when I was in high school on the German impressionist painter, not impressionist, like German post-war expressionist painter, Max Beckmann. When he was 19, I learned that he burned most of his art school drawings, but I can't seem to find that source online anywhere now. But I remember reading that. And I think I'm doing the same thing, where all of this was made for me. And for me to be the best artist I can be for the rest of the world. Like what I want to share with the world, it's not necessarily this. Does that make sense? Though it doesn't mean like art that is dark or deep or reflects on trauma cannot be powerful. I think it's very powerful. People who like are a vibrational match, an emotional match to certain pieces of artwork, can find deep healing in them, no matter what spectrum they're on. Personally, for me, this is a great sacrifice that makes me very happy. That means a lot to me. And I'm glad to feed them to the flames, and I will show you the footage later. So I'm gonna first start off by ripping them into little bits, because I don't have a fire pit here, obviously. Then I'll burn them outside in like pans or something, and I'll show you. Yeah? A little walkthrough. This is probably the earliest one. All of this I did with little micron pens. This, you can really see here, I was feeding off the life force of my boyfriend at that time. I had so much like darkness stuck around me. Like usually entities, they stick around the back of your neck like here. But I had so much dark stuff like siphoning my energy that if I did not have him, I love you. If I did not have him, I think I would have like ended my life or something. But I'm glad that our souls agreed to meet. And he did me a great service, for which I am always grateful. When I talk about the mermaids, this is a lamp. It actually lights up. So you can see this is all sewn by hand. All of these drawings, it's paper, and then it's silk organza. And I stitched all of these together. So you can see I also embroidered little words. So it's like trash, a mermaid with trash, right? Ice cream spoon, medicine for my psoriasis, medicine for eczema, juice cleanse bottle, seaweed salad container, plastic wrapper, blah, blah. I was addicted to Petit Écolier biscuits. I would eat so many sweets just to like feel better, you know? I realize oftentimes we eat sugary stuff for comfort, for temporary comfort, right? A lot of these drawings flames and skeletons. Oh, I also had like a spending problem, an eating problem, and spending problem. So all of that like onto a piece of silk. This is a lamp, by the way. It lights up and it says "Eat me." Drawing about my mom, I felt like I siphoned all of my mom's life force, and I felt really guilty about that. By the way, always put yourself first if you're a human, right? Because people do not appreciate it when you sacrifice your happiness for them. Like, they feel like either resentment or guilt, and neither are good, you know? You're making an example for other people constantly through how you live. So, like, put yourself first, really. Especially moms. Don't be a self-sacrificing martyr. This is a drawing from high school, so before art school even. I remember I had a crush on one of my classmates, and this really impressed him, so I guess I kept this. That's so cute. And then you can see my little grocery store bag. These are chocolate boxes. I put drawings inside of them. Let's see if I can... Oh, by the way, Jacques Genin is really good chocolate. They make really good chocolate. I'm trying to open this. Yeah, I made all of these little containers. It was during the lockdown in Paris. So there's more of that. Wait. Look. See? That's so cute. It's a little castle. You see, I actually remember my past lives during regressions, and I used to live in a literal castle, and I was a princess. But like, oh, I had so many conflicts with my family. They wanted to like marry me off or something, and a lot of the people gossiped and said bad stuff about me, so I was very, very upset and always rebelling. You know, you can really check these past life issues in meditations or through your astrology or whatever. But, you know, little example. And then, over here, oh my gosh, this is a series, a short story, a comic that I drew. Based on myself, about a girl who's immortal and has supernatural powers to punish mean, creepy people. Yeah. She finds a mean old man at a bakery who's like really abusive to people, to his maid, and then like kicks pigeons, and then she goes into she goes to find him, and then while he's like yelling at one of his employees, she like does some black magic, and then he jumps out the window, and then guess what? He gets transformed into a pigeon. Okay, and this is probably like my favorite. It's a big drawing of two sirens. Yeah. And then this one is for my unborn brother. His name is Matt. I love him very much. I used to feel like very guilty. I made this when I was in high school. I used to feel like really guilty about being alive and him not being alive, because part of that was thinking like, if I have a sibling, then I'm not gonna have as much money, and I will have to like fight for my parents' attention and love and whatever. So like I said, hey, I still want to be an only child, and so that's how it turned out. And I think when I was making this drawing when I was about 18 years old, I felt like I was living for two people. And right now, I guess I am still. I talk to him a lot. Hey, Matt. And I feel like he's always with me, so I love him very much. Yeah. This is also going to burn, and it's going to be so beautiful. Now, if you want to do something like this, and you don't have access to a big bonfire like me, living in a city or whatever, what you can do is tear up the pieces, and then I charged all of the negative energy. I asked it to go into a certain small piece of paper or quantity, and I burned that bit and discarded the rest. And I sprinkled holy water over the remaining parts. And that's a pretty effective way to cleanse the darkness. And I love this cycle of death and rebirth. If you want to see more, you can find me on Instagram under La Princesse des Beaux-Arts, and I'll see you very soon, okay? Bye!